Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. It is Monday, December 13th, and it is 11:30 a.m. I am in Ontario, California, the Los Angeles metropolitan area. I just delivered a load in San Bernardino last night, so I was home for a couple weeks. I did 2.5 weeks of home time, and the load that I left the house on was a load from Oklahoma City. It was a FedEx load from a FedEx terminal in Oklahoma City to a FedEx terminal in San Bernardino, California. There was a bit of drama with the load. I probably spent an hour and a half taking pictures, making phone calls, and sending emails when I picked the load up before I could start driving. The trailer had the wrong registration. It had the registration for a different trailer number. So I had to call and get them to email me the correct registration. Then I had to figure out a place to print it out. I had to go to two different places to get that printed out, and it was a hazmat load. It didn't need placarding, but it was still hazmat. So I still had to jump through a bunch of hoops with hazmat. I had to, take pictures of the paperwork, send it to Landstar's hazmat department, email it, and the broker wanted me to take pictures of the paperwork and email it to them, and they also wanted me to call their dispatch and verify my pickup time and the empty trailer I was dropping and stuff like that. So I mean, it was a bunch of phone calls, a bunch of pictures, and a bunch of emails, tons and tons of paperwork. And then I drove over here. I got here a day early. My appointment was Monday at 11 p.m. and I delivered the load Sunday at 7:24 p.m. is when my check-in time was. And it was a drop and hook on both ends. So I got another present from you sons of bitches. Man, Landstar drivers are just, it's not Landstar drivers, it's truck drivers in general are just so giving. They're so awesome at giving people early Christmas presents. Every fucking time I do a drop and hook, I have got to do something to get the trailer legal. I've got to get the correct paperwork, or I've got to put it in the shop. So the the first drop and hook I did on that FedEx load, I had to deal with getting the correct registration. Luckily, there wasn't anything else wrong with the trailer. There was some other stuff. If I was going to be keeping the trailer long term, I would have put it in the shop and gotten some things corrected on it. But there wasn't anything illegal aside from the registration. Now, this trailer that I picked up on the other, on the delivery in San Bernardino is another drop and hook. This one, both mud flaps need to be replaced. And what it is on each mud flap, each mud flap's held in by 4 or 5 bolts. And on each mud flap, one of the bolts, the mud flap has ripped through, or the bolt has ripped through the mud flap, and the mud flap is not held on by one of the bolts. So both mud flaps need to be replaced, and it's within the 2 week window of a 120-day DOT inspection. So it also needs a DOT inspection. So I am $6.88 a mile, San Bernardino to Tacoma, Washington. That's the same agency that I just booked a load with. And here's the load that I just booked. And what's this one? $5.47 a mile, Wilmington, California to Maryville, Missouri. I just booked a load from San Bernardino to Houston that's paying $7.16 a mile. I'll give more details on that in a minute. So, yeah, I'm sitting here at the Petro in Ontario, and it's like 77 degrees. Let me turn on the APU here. Comfort monitor on. We're turning the comfort monitor on. It was so nice here that I just turned the APU off. Uh, but now it's starting to warm. It's starting to warm up in here. So I booked a load Thursday. That was a really good load. It was a load going about 1,500 miles, paying about $10,500. That's the full rate, of which I get a percentage. So at the low end, I would get about $7,000, but I don't know what exactly percentage I would get on the load because I never got the paperwork on the load. So I booked the load Thursday, And the agent said, or the broker said, he would send me the load information Friday morning. That didn't happen. Then he said he'd send me the information Friday evening. That didn't happen. Then he said he'd send me the information Sunday morning. That didn't happen. So I got tired of texting him and asking him, like, hey, I didn't get that information. What's going on? Every time I texted him, asked him what's going on, he would give me a new time that he was going to send me the load information, and he never sent it. So I've just stopped contacting the agent. I might contact him in a few days and ask him what's going on with the load. But at this point, I'm not going to just sit around waiting on him. It's a phenomenal load. The main thing that made it really awesome is that it was a load that I could do over and over and over again. Because I just booked a load that was nearly identical to it. Like, let me show you what I just booked. I just booked a load going 1,500 miles that pays $10,500. Exactly the same as the other load. $10,445 going, 1,458 miles. This is exactly the same as the load that I booked on Thursday, except the load that I booked on Thursday, I could just do it over and over and over again. It was a round trip load. It was shuttling containers out of the port of Long Beach to El Paso, Texas. So it was Long Beach to El Paso, back to Long Beach. And then you just do that over and over and over again. And I could do 2 of them a week easily. So that's what was so exciting about that load, was that I could just do it over and over again. But I just now booked this load. It picks up tomorrow. They're still working on the pickup appointment time. They don't have I don't have a pickup appointment time yet. They asked me what pickup appointment time that I want, and I asked them, like, well, what are the hours of operation? And they told me like 8 to 5 or something like that. They're like 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And I said, well, I would like to get in and out of there as early as possible, so 8 a.m. if I can park on their property and wait for them to open. Like, if it's a gated property that I can't get onto until 8 a.m., then I would prefer like a 10 a.m. appointment. I said, I just want to avoid rush hour. I don't want to be driving through rush hour to get to an 8 a.m. appointment. If I can get there an hour or two early and sit and wait, great. But if not, then a 10 a.m. appointment would be better. So she's working on getting me an appointment right now, and it's a drop and hook. It's a live load and then a drop and hook on the delivery. So I think on the delivery, I can deliver it, whenever I can get there. I don't really have any appointment information yet. So that's what's going on with me right now. So let's talk about the money, because I'm sure everybody loves to hear about the money. So the load that I took from San Bernardino from Oklahoma City to San Bernardino paid $4,414, a little over $4,400. It was $2,535 in line haul and 514. Wait, is that right? No. I'm doing that wrong. Just a second here. It was $3,900 in line haul and $514 in fuel surcharge. I get 65% of the line haul and 100% of the fuel surcharge. So $3,049 on my load from Oklahoma City to San Bernardino. Now my load from San Bernardino to Houston, you can see all that information right here. Now, if you can't read the information, then it probably hasn't processed the HD version yet. I don't want to mess with this. That's not gonna do what I want it to do. I would have to screw around with this and resize the image and all kinds of stuff like that. I don't really have this thing set up to do any kind of zooming. But the line haul on this is $9,907.16. The fuel surcharge is $537.84. They're kind of cheap on the fuel surcharge. They're paying 36 cents a mile fuel surcharge. It's pretty damn cheap. But I'm not going to argue with them on, $100 in fuel surcharge whenever the load is paying this kind of money. Usually, okay, so let me for anybody who's not familiar with lanes and markets and what pay you should expect and stuff like that. Usually, a load that's paying $10,000 or more is a coast to coast load. So usually, if you're getting a load out of Southern California, the Los Angeles area, and it's paying over 10 grand, it's usually going like 2,700 miles. It's going all the way across the country to the East Coast. Loads that are only going halfway across the country to like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, places like that, the central part of the United States, loads going halfway across the country or approximately or a little bit more than halfway across the country, loads going to the central part of the United States generally pay from Southern California somewhere on the low end of $5,000, middle of the road about $7,000, and on the high end about $8,000. And then occasionally you can find loads that pay, really, really good. Like I hauled a load, one of my last loads that I think the last load that I hauled out of Southern California was to someplace just east of Dallas, and that load paid around $9,000. And now I'm going to take this one to Houston, and this one's paying $10,445. Those are the full rates, not what I'm making on the load. So to get a load that's paying, $10,500, $10,445, that's only going halfway across the country, man, that's a hell of a deal. That's a really amazing run. And those are the type of loads that I look for whenever I'm over here, in Southern California. I try to make it worth my while because I don't like coming to Southern California. It fucking sucks around here. I have to pay for parking and shit. Parking here at the Petro is $25 a day. But if you spend $25 in their store, you get credit for a day. So whenever you're leaving, you can show them receipts, and they will give you, they'll let you, every $25 it counts as a day. So I'm going to have 2 days of parking here. So I'm going to have to buy $50 worth of shit here. I just spent $14 on some food. They have some really good food here. Really good food. They'll trick you, though. Over here on the West Coast, you'll think you're buying barbecue. It'll look like barbecue, but it's sweet and sour. I got so excited last time I was here. This time they didn't have it, but last time I was here, they had what looked like barbecue chicken. And I was like, "Oh my God, barbecue chicken! That is." And she goes, "No, it's sweet and sour." I'm like, "Oh my God, why would you do that?" But apparently over here on the West Coast, sweet and sour is like their version of barbecue. So they're not big on barbecue on the West Coast. They're big on like sweet and sour is what they do instead of barbecue. I don't know why. It's just like, man, why would you do that to the chicken? So, yeah, between these two loads, my first load, a little over $3,000, $3,049, and then load number 2 here. Once you break down what I'm making on this, I get 65% of the $9,907.16, and then I get 100% of the fuel surcharge, which is $537.84, and that comes out to $6,977.49. So with those powers combined, it's a weekly total of $10,000. I left my house Saturday at 3 a.m. and this load delivers Friday. I don't know. Let's see. I'm picking this load up tomorrow, Tuesday, and it's a drop and hook. I'm actually probably going to drop this load on Thursday. If I can drop it as soon as I can get there, I will be there on Thursday. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll definitely be there on Thursday. So, yeah, it's within a 7 day period, and it's $10,000 gross to the truck, which is a really, really, really good week. Not as good as if that other load would have come through. It was going to be $7,000 per load, and I would easily be able to do 2 loads a week. So I would have been making 14 grand a week on that, and I could have done it. Like, I talked with the broker, and I was like, "Yeah, this sounds awesome. I would love to like run this for a month, and then take some time off, then come back out and run it for another month, and just do that over and over." And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you could run it for 3 or 4 weeks, and then take a couple weeks off at home, and then come back out and run it for 3 or 4 weeks, and yeah, that would be you can definitely do that." So that's part of the reason I got so excited about that load. And that load may still come through. There's a whole bunch of shit that he has to do to make that load happen. And he apparently had not done anything whenever he posted the load on the board. I think he was just fishing. Whenever he posted the load on the board, I think he was just fishing to see how easy it would be to get drivers to cover the load at that price. And he's probably trying to figure out the process because he was going to have to order transponders to go in the port. He was going to have to get with Landstar to get a chassis. There was a whole bunch of shit that he was going to have to do for that load. There's a lot of requirements to do loads out of the port. So, and you have to have a TWIC. I don't know if you have to have one, but he said that I had to have one for this load. Supposedly, if you don't have a TWIC, you have to have some form of federal ID to go into the port, and it's a pain in the ass. Basically, if you do not have a TWIC to get into the port, it's possible, but it's a pain in the ass. If you do have a TWIC, then it's a lot smoother to get into the port. So I don't know. He just told me you have to have a TWIC, which I do. I have a TWIC. A TWIC is a Transportation Workers Identification Card. It requires the exact same background check that you have to do to get your hazmat endorsement. So whenever you go down and get your hazmat endorsement, you can just choose to also get a TWIC at the same time. And it's like a couple $100, and you just fill out a little bit of extra paperwork, and they send your fingerprints and everything with the TWIC and with your hazmat. But that's what's going on with me. I'm sitting here at the Petro. I got here last night at around 9 p.m. and they had signs up that said there was no parking. It said at the entrance it said parking lot is full. I was like, fuck. And this is all paid parking, and it is a huge parking lot. It's one of the biggest parking lots of any TA or Petro. Um, of course Iowa 80 is probably the biggest. I think they advertise as the largest truck stop in the world. But man, the Petro parking lot, I think the TA parking lot across the street is nearly as big as this one, if not as big as this one. But it's two massive parking lots, and it's all paid parking, and it's almost completely full. It, I managed to find a parking spot. It was not easy, but I managed to find one, and then I checked in with the shop, and I told the shop, I was like, hey, can we schedule this for in the morning? Because I'm afraid that if I leave my parking spot to do this right now, I'm not going to be able to find another parking spot. And the guy was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to find anywhere to park at that hour. And I said, he said, well, what time do you want to do it in the morning? I was like, well, 8 a.m. How's that sound? He's like, all right, we'll do that. So he set me up for 8 a.m. I did not get a call at 8 a.m., so I called them at 8:15 and I sat on hold for 20 minutes. Finally got a hold of somebody at like 8:25. I was like, "Hey, I'm so and so with Landstar, and I had an 8 a.m. appointment for a DOT inspection, replace a couple mud flaps on a trailer, and I was just checking to see if you guys are ready for me." And she was like, just a second. You could hear her flipping through paper. She was looking for my work order, and she found it, and she said, okay, yeah, we're working on. Just a second here. This is them calling me right now. All right. They just called me in door number 2, and they want me to come in backwards. They want me to come in forward from the wrong side. So I'm gonna wrap up this video and go get pulled into the shop, and they're gonna start working on me here. And I'll upload this video here in a minute once I get parked. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. They let me wrap up what I was saying. They initially told me, well, basically they forgot about me and they started scheduling other people. And they initially told me they were going to have me in right after that truck. Then they called me an hour and a half later and told me that there were actually 3 people ahead of me, and they weren't going to get me in until around noon, which it's 11:52, and they just called me, so they were right on schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and get the truck in, or the trailer in the shop, get the DOT inspection done, get the mud flaps replaced. Then I'm going to go find somewhere to park, and I'm going to chill for the rest of the day and try to enjoy the rest of the day. Then tomorrow I'm going to pick up that load and start making my way to Houston. So I'll get this video uploaded as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.